If you're operating at the absolute highest tiers of the short-term rental market, standard management advice, yeah, it literally does not apply to you. Today, we're taking a masterclass framework on luxury real estate and turning it into a step-by-step roadmap for what we call elite asset governance. Basically, we're looking at an institutional strategy to turn chaotic, stressful properties into completely hands-off cash machines. Because honestly, this is the question that just haunts the high-end market. So many high net worth investors fall into what industry insiders call the luxury ownership paradox. You know how it goes. You acquire this stunning 7-figure property. You're looking for leverage, status, financial freedom, but without the right infrastructure in place, it just becomes an exhausting around-the-clock job. You buy a multi-million-dollar estate only to get totally drained by the daily grind of running it like some budget motel. You might have total control over the asset, but you have absolutely zero freedom. So the paradigm shift we're exploring today is contrasting two entirely different worlds. Think about commodity hosting. This is your standard run-of-the-mill approach. It's super reactive, obsessively chasing calendar bookings at literally any cost, and it relies heavily on just pure human hustle to put out daily fires. It's exhausting. But then look at asset governance. This is the proactive, institutional approach. You're treating the property not as a side hustle, but as a sovereign financial instrument. You optimize for actual revenue, and the whole thing operates entirely hands-off. All right, here is our roadmap for the explainer. We just covered the luxury ownership paradox, so next we'll get into engineering rational yield, then automated operation layers, and finally balancing physical entropy. Let's get to it. Okay, part 1, engineering rational yield from vanity to sanity. The absolute first thing we need to do is shift our financial foundation away from simple occupancy percentages. Honestly, occupancy is a vanity metric. Sure, it looks fantastic on a calendar, but it can actually be silently destroying your equity behind the scenes. Elite operators focus entirely on RevPAR, revenue per available room. This takes your gross monthly revenue and divides it by the total days in a month. It's your ultimate truth teller because it measures actual cash production efficiency. Think about it. A property at full capacity but heavily discounted is doing way worse than a property that's only half full but commanding a massive premium. If you want to run your property like an institution, RevPAR has to be your North Star. Let's just look at the math here. Enforcing a strict, data-driven price floor, basically calculating your baseline costs and wear and tear, and refusing to dip below that number is an absolute game changer. Accepting only 60% occupancy at $1,000 a night drastically outperforms being 95% booked at a huge discount. And hey, it's not just about the gross revenue. Operating at a lower capacity means way less rapid-fire turnover. It lets you establish what we call brand equity standards. You start treating the home like a private gallery, preserving your designer furniture, the fine art, the premium architectural finishes, so you're protecting the long-term physical condition of the asset while producing a much greater net profit. It's a massive win-win. Now, you might be wondering, what's the cost of not doing this? Well, the data points to a staggering 30 to 40%. That is how much potential revenue amateur hosts are leaving on the table because they fail to track micro-seasonal demand curves. And we aren't just talking about broad shifts like, summer versus winter. A micro-season could be a sudden regional biotech summit or a local marathon. Advanced operators use algorithmic rate curves that monitor local market high points and dynamically spike rates during these localized windows. Missing these little blips can easily cost you thousands of dollars a month in a premium market. Moving right along to our next section, automated operation layers or the invisible digital infrastructure. So if you want to achieve true operational scale and actually capture those premium rates we just talked about, you have to deliver a flawless guest experience. But to do that without burning yourself out, you must replace human administrative chores with a highly resilient digital tech infrastructure. Because let's face it, at this price point, guests expect immediate answers. Deploying a multilingual communication array handles the crazy volume of late-night questions instantly. Picture this. A guest asks in Mandarin at 3 a.m. how to turn on the hot tub jets. Instead of you waking up in a panic, a bespoke AI trained on your property translates it, finds the specific mechanical instructions, and replies naturally in under 60 seconds. This protects your algorithmic ranking on booking sites and, most importantly, preserves your cognitive capital. You actually get to sleep. And the real magic happens when you engineer a frictionless concierge pipeline. When guests are paying top dollar, they absolutely want curated, high-margin experiences. But you don't want to become their full-time travel agent, right? The solution is automating the delivery. You set up a pre-arrival sequence maybe 3 days out, offering an in-app menu for things like a private chef dinner or luxury airport transport. The second the guest clicks yes, the system automatically dispatches your pre-vetted vendors. This automation even handles checkout, linking your scheduling software directly to your specialized cleaning and inspection teams. No manual scheduling, no babysitting, it just seamlessly happens. The financial impact of that invisible concierge layer is just tremendous. This automated pipeline captures an additional $500 to $2,000 in pure ancillary revenue per booking. And get this, it adds zero extra wear and tear to your property, requires absolutely no manual sales calls from you, and dramatically elevates the guest experience. It is the definition of autopilot revenue. Let's move into our final operational section, balancing physical entropy or proactive capital preservation. So, moving from digital systems to physical reality, we hit the final frontier of asset governance. Real estate naturally decays, right? It's subject to physical entropy. To protect your equity, you really have to fireproof the building, not just run around constantly putting out fires. Elite operators use what's called a CMMS, a computerized maintenance management system. Instead of reacting to a panicked midnight phone call because the AC suddenly died, entropy balancing actively monitors the trajectory of the home's most expensive physical systems. The whole goal is to catch the degradation when it's super cheap to fix, rather than waiting for a catastrophic failure when it costs an absolute fortune and ruins a high-value booking. You pull this off by integrating elegant, totally non-invasive IoT sensors throughout the estate. For instance, decimal monitors can quietly track noise thresholds to protect your property guidelines seamlessly, without ever invading guest privacy. Or take thermal sensors. They can track a tiny, half-degree temperature creep in your HVAC blower bearing over the course of a month. The system flags it, auto-generates a ticket, and dispatches a maintenance tech quietly during a Tuesday vacancy window. Boom. You fix a $50 part, the guest is completely unaware, and a major crisis is entirely averted. But hey, we do have to acknowledge the limits of software here. There's this brilliant industry concept known as the squirrel paradox. Basically, it goes like this. You can use an API to lock a door or adjust a thermostat from across the globe, but you absolutely cannot API a squirrel out of your HVAC vents, right? This humorous little reality check perfectly highlights why your flawless digital automation still has to seamlessly link up to trusted physical vendor networks on the ground. The technology identifies the problem, but highly trained human hands still have to execute the solution. When you step back and look at this entire framework, it really shifts our understanding of the industry. We usually think of luxury as, infinity pools, imported marble countertops, and cinematic ocean views. But as this quote so perfectly puts it, true luxury is the absolute invisibility of the people keeping it perfect. When you master rational yield, deploy system automation, and balance physical entropy, your operational footprint completely vanishes from the guest perspective. It looks entirely effortless to them. And, best of all, it actually becomes effortless for you. So it's time to evaluate your current framework. Ask yourself, are you running a highly optimized financial instrument? Or did you just buy yourself a really, really expensive second job? Because honestly, it is time to stop chasing commodity occupancy, eliminate all that manual friction, and step into the clarity and profitability of true sovereign asset governance.